What up, everybody? You guys are tuned in to another episode of the Business is Blooming podcast. I got the homie, the Gromy, Rasta Jeff, Irie Genetics, Irie Army on the show. And I tell you guys why I think it was a great show to do, because a lot of the nuances, the way I approach the industry, the way I spread knowledge and love to my best ability, I got it from this fella here, man. So shout out to you, Rasta Jeff, for gracing my stage, man. What's going down?
No, man, thank you for having me. That's a great intro. And man, thank you for carrying the torch. You know, the torch has to move. So thank you for carrying the torch, spreading the message. I appreciate that.
Awesome, brother. Awesome. So what are your areas of expertise and how long have you been doing this?
Oh, wow. Area of expertise. I slowly have become, I think what I'm known for is my breeding expertise. I'm kind of a well-known breeder in the cannabis industry. I've bred a lot of popular strains. I breed a lot of things that are leaned more toward the anxiety type of stuff. I like that panic attack weed stuff. When you smoke it, your palms get sweaty, your armpits sweat, your eyes start bugging out. So I'm mostly known for breeding, but I'm also known for just basic cannabis education, cannabis cultivation education. I teach people how to grow from a seed all the way up to harvest, and I want to teach everybody. People learn in different ways. Some people listen, some people are visual, some people have to get hands-on, some people have to repeat things 3 or 4 times. So I try to make sure to get everybody educated. I try to teach in a way that everybody can come along and grow our favorite plants, man. So I think that's what I'm most known for, is the breeding and the education.
That's what I know you for.
Word.
So off topic, man, what's your favorite movie growing up?
Oh man, you could probably tell by looking at me that I was way into the movie Dazed and Confused. It's a hippie movie about some hippie kids graduating high school. It's got freshmen that are going into high school and seniors graduating and everything in between. And I think I was in high school when the movie came out, and it's about the stoners, and I related to the stoner kids. So Dazed and Confused was the movie for me.
Never seen it. Dazed and Confused, though, man. It sounds like I was feeling after I smoked that Afterglow. A little Dazed and Confused. So.
We'll roll up some Afterglow and watch Dazed and Confused next time. You'll love it. It's good, bro.
And one of the questions I was really looking forward to asking you, man, is if you were a superhero, what would your superpowers be? And cheers and salute to you.
Wow, that's awesome. If I were a superhero, well, most people ask me cannabis questions, so this is fun. My superhero, I would like to be able to turn random things into ganja. Wouldn't that be fun? If you could, like, you go to a village and they don't have weed, you could be like, bring me grain or broccoli, and you just touch it and it turns into cannabis. That'd be a cool superpower, I think. That'd be almost like some weed Jesus sort of move.
No doubt. And I'm gonna ask you one of your favorite pothead movie memories. I'm hoping you tell the one that you told on your show. But what's a favorite one of your pothead movie memories?
One of my favorite pothead memories. Most of my memories are pothead. So I'm going to get nostalgic here. I've got 2 uncles who inspired me a lot. My personality is these 2 guys combined is mainly who I am. They both passed away, so it's cool to have this memory. They took me to my first real big boy rock concert, and my uncle drove, and my other uncle was riding shotgun, and I was in the back. And they played. They played a very specific album that inspired me to be a drummer. This drive made me a drummer also. But my 2 uncles lit up a big old fat joint in the front of that car and smoked that joint. And the smoke wafted into the back where I was. And I was listening to the drums on that album and smoking that joint with them. And it was one of my first times getting really high. Like, it was just a contact high. They didn't pass it to me, but I got high.
Yeah.
So that memory, it's a fuzzy memory, but it's a good pothead memory.
And can you remember the car that they're in?
Bro, we were in a Chevy El Camino. So it's like a truck car, but it's got the truck front and the truck back. But we had it with a camper shell and carpet in the back. So I was cozy in the back, bro. And I was just back there high as balls.
Stoner, absolute memory, bro. Straight
stoner up, car, stoner uncles. Yeah, stoner everything. Yeah, it was perfect.
Nah, for sure. Oh, great question. I'm so excited because I know, but I want my audience to know. So who were your first teachers of growing cannabis, and or who's your guru teacher for cannabis, and how did they influence or shape the way you grow?
Okay. Well, I got to start with those uncles that I was just talking about. They were growing when I was a little kid, and I heard them talking about it, and I absorbed the info. I didn't realize what was happening. I just heard I knew there was plants in the backyard. I didn't know what they were, but I knew there were plants out in the backyard. And I heard one uncle tell the other uncle, like, tonight when the sun goes down, do this. And he gave him instructions. That uncle left and the sun went down and my other uncle went to do it and he was going to do it wrong. And I was like, nah, bro, he said to do it this way. And they looked at me like, oh shit, this little kid's listening to us grow weed. But that's like my first experience that I remember. Yeah, it was destiny. But then my big teacher, the guy that inspired me a lot, that really created this monster, I got to give a shout out to Subcool. Rest in peace, Subcool. Subby taught me a lot about breeding, a lot about cultivating, a lot about the cannabis industry, how to navigate it's not a clear path. Nobody's done this before, really, the way that we're doing it. So Subcool kind of showed me some things to look out for and what to look for in people and plants and the industry. But I also have to say, Subcool also taught me a lot of what not to do. He was a cantankerous old dude. He ruffled a lot of feathers, and I learned a lot from the way he did things, positive and negative. So, yeah, I owe a big shout out to Subcool. Rest in peace. Shout out to Subcool.
Man, rest in peace. Shout out to Subcool. He is definitely one of the pioneers. And I'll tell you something, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I've learned this about Subcool, that when Subcool was doing time in prison, he would have his girlfriend write word for word, well, not word for word, but almost word for word of cannabis material, but change the word cannabis and use tomato, or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty dope.
That's absolutely true.
Confinement, he was still thirsty for knowledge. So I thought that was pretty dope.
That's the truth, man. And big shout out to Miss Jill. Miss Jill was the one doing it, writing those books out and sending them to him. And she's still out there making seeds now. So shout out to Miss Jill.
Really?
She's got some. She made the Jilly Bean. I'm sure you've heard of Jilly Bean. That is made by Miss Jill. Subcool's, I guess, widow or estranged wife. I'm not sure the word there, but yeah, former partner.
Well, man. If you were plugged in with Miss Jill, I would love to have my first female guest on cannabis grower on the show. If to come and speak to her life and journey through cannabis. So definitely.
Yeah, I'll see what she's got to say. I'll message her for sure. Shout out Miss Jill. Yes.
Which strains you want to grow? Because I mean, you've been creating fire for years now, right? So, what's the criteria?
Man, there's so many different things that have to come together for me to grow something. Right now, I'm running a bunch of my legal limit, I should say, of Orange Gasm and Lemon Jeffrey because I'm going to allegedly possibly take them to a cup that may be coming up, and I'd like to enter something that's well known like that into the cup. So I'm growing those as cup entries. There's a purpose for that because I want to show them off. I know I can grow them amazingly. They're attention grabbers. So those are going for cup entries. Wow. Sometimes it's like, I don't know, it's the same way as like when you walk through the mall or you walk through the club and you see somebody that gets your attention. It's the same thing. I get that same feeling in me. It's just like,
when you see
I can walk through. So I'm very lucky. I get access to a lot of commercial grows. I do consulting and I go to commercial grows and my friends have big grows. I get to see a lot of plants. And as I'm walking through, sometimes something will just, I don't know. It's just like a lady at the club or at the mall or wherever you are. She goes, hey, and you listen. You go, oh, hey, and exactly. Some dingers go off. It's a ding, 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 and it's like sometimes I want to smoke that plant. Sometimes I want to grow it, but sometimes I already know, like, oh, I want to breed this plant to this, and then it's going to make this, and it all just happens real quickly in my brain. It's just a moment, and it doesn't take a lot of thinking for me.
Oh man, it's dope. So, do you have any preference over autoflowers, photoperiods, or feminized seeds?
I don't fuck with autoflowers. There's nothing wrong with autos. That's just not how I grow. Autos have their time and place, just not in my garden. I am teamed up with a friend from Night Owl. Shout out to my buddy Daz. We are in the process of selecting some autoflower stuff that is Irie stuff to autoflowers. And then also Locomotive Seed Co. is putting out, Ike and Loco are working on some more autoflowers with my lines. I'm not heavily involved. I look and I say, that's the plant I would use, or that's the better one with the orange terps, because I've seen the plant so much, but I don't fuck with the autoflowers. That's not for me. Regs and femmes, I'm all about both. I know how to spot a male plant, and I'm a seed breeder, so I love a good male plant, and I'm not afraid of femmes. I understand how femmes are made, and if they're made properly, feminized seeds are very reliable. It's the breeders that are pollen chucking and not doing the testing. That's what messes up the rep for femmes. So, yeah, I'm all about both of those.
think you kind of gave me a question for just knowledge base, to put out knowledge, because I've heard the episode. Quick synopsis, could you go over how do you make feminized seeds, or how would Rasta make feminized seeds?
Real quickly, the first thing that I want to touch on is people mix up the word femmes and they put the word herm or hermaphrodite or intersex in there. If I am breeding with these plants to make fem seeds, there is no hermaphroditic intersex trait present in this cross at all. What that means is I have taken both of the female plants that I'm going to use and I've stress tested them in several environments with several conditions. And they do not show me intersex traits. So when it comes to femmes, cross out the word herm out of the equation. I'm not herming a plant. I'm not using a herm. That's not real. That frustrates me. That's a myth, a misconception that we need to erase. So the first step is find 2 female plants that are solid females, or we can work with one. We'll take one female plant that's a solid female, been stress tested, been beat to shit, does not herm. I'll take 2 clones of that plant. So now we'll say golden goat, because I've done this. It's a good example. Got a golden goat girl and a golden goat girl, clones of the same thing. I will treat one with the solution. It is called silver thiosulfate. You can make it. It's real easy to make. It takes too long to explain that part right here, but I spray that one plant with the silver a very specific amount of times at a very specific time. It gets sprayed 7, maybe 8 times, and then it will create pollen. That pollen is all female pollen because the plant that I started with is all female. There's no male chromosome available, which means no intersex trait, no male, no PPs, all female. So it's going to make pollen that is all female. Then I take that pollen and put it on another female plant, or that golden goat clone that we were talking about. And now we've just made golden goat feminized seeds that will not have any intersex traits. They'll all be girls, and they'll all be golden goat. Most of them are going to look just like the original golden goat we started with, but we're going to see some weirdos. There's going to be some that look like the golden goat mom, some that look like the dad, and then some that look like just random mixes of all the genetics in there. But a lot will look just like the original golden goat.
So can you stress a herm plant? I'm sorry. Could you stress a feminized plant to where it does herm, or it's not a true feminized plant because it doesn't even have that chromosome?
It should not be able to. So you can't say never with genetics. That's something that I should definitely give a disclaimer. I call it the Jurassic Park theory. Life will find a way. So you can stress anything to make a seed. I've got plants that I cannot reverse or turn intersex. So if it's herming, then that's a trait that is in there. The herm is a trait. Another thing that people get confused with herming is rotalization. If you let plants go too long, there won't be any intersex expression, but you'll find seeds in the plant. And that's just a natural response from the plant. Cannabis's number one goal, the main thing it wants to do is make seeds. We think it's here to get us high. That plant wants to breed, just like you and me, bro. It wants to breed. Its main goal is to breed. So that's why the males grow tall so they could drop pollen, and that's why the girls get right under the boys to get the pollen. But yeah, it'll find a way if we don't give it an opportunity. It wants to carry on for its next generation. But if it does show herm, then that herm gene was in there somewhere. Herm is just like a trait, like potency, vigor, structure, aroma, flavor. The herm is a trait that is in there. So if it exists, it's in there somewhere and it can pop up.
So here's another myth or some that a legend, in my opinion, you're a legend in the industry. I want you to dispel this or explain the difference. What's the marks of a true breeder versus a pollen chucker?
Okay. I don't know that I'm qualified to make that delegation, but in my mind, what it would be, a pollen chucker, if you didn't do anything to find the male or think about the plants that you're working with, if you have a male, you just happen to get one, you had no plan of breeding and you got a male, or even if you bought pollen and got it sent to you and you're just throwing it willy-nilly on plants and just doing that's pollen chucking. If you understand a Mendel chart or an allele chart and you can do some predicative breeding, if you say, I want to put this with this because this trait and this trait will potentially, hopefully create this traits, if you can think about it and tell me why, I'll call you a breeder. Even if you're doing it in a 2x2 tent, if you're doing it in a 16-inch box, if you're thinking about it and have some reason, some thought to it, that's breeding. Pollen chucking is just that. Buying pollen, there are places that sell pollen. That's lazy shit. That's trusting you to make my male selection in my breeding project. That's not breeding. I'm buying pollen and chucking it. That's all that is to me. So it's all about purpose. It's all about the intention. It's not the size or the amount of seeds or any of that. It's the intention.
So here, my King Neptune came about in exactly the pollen chucking way that you described. But I'll tell you what, though, I seen the male and was like, dude, that's a monster male. I like her. Can I have some? So
Okay.
did I find that male? No. Did I buy
Did
some?
you at
Well,
least?
it was gifted to me.
Okay. Well, you at
And
least saw the
and
male. You
then
knew what he. You knew he was good. You didn't. It wasn't like an arranged marriage. Like somebody said, "I like this
right.
male. Here you go." Yeah, you actually
Right.
saw.
And I think where my work came in is afterwards. So once we got the male, we got the female established, and we made the babies, we took a look at what we had in those babies. And we found what we were looking for, what we were hoping to get out of that selection.
There you
So
go.
I would call myself a breeder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I tell you this though, I don't have a problem with either one of them. I want people creating seeds and making mistakes. Well, not herm seeds, gotta say.
Right.
But I want people creating seeds because again, it's just gonna open up the possibilities of variations we get within our seeds. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The more seeds, the merrier. The more. That's why I make so many. I like to take a male plant and pollinate 20 different girls with him, and then grow out all those seeds and see what did he do when I mixed him. So we'll say that my boy is like lemon. You know what I mean? And then I put him to chocolate, strawberry, banana, lime, and then we get to see what lemon lime, lemon chocolate, lemon banana. We get to see all those expressions, and I can see what he's actually doing. So I can see what traits of him pass by doing his pollen to multiple females.
So the first one I did was the King Neptune. And then I turned around and I used the London pound cake and we put it to a Blue Dream. That project kind of died off a little bit, but I used it as well on one of Turp Fiend strains called Turp Palm. And I can see the London pound cake or the King Neptune because, inside of everything, I can tell that the London pound cake pollen that I have is very strong and it replicates itself very well in whatever I put it to. You know what I mean? It comes out the same.
Yeah. Okay.
Similar, very similar.
Right. And there's something that I look for in males. I need some diversity. I need that male to not overdo the mix. Like I feel like it's if my male is too dominant, my crosses come out too much the male. And I want them to be kind of 50-50, like the male and the female. I want to see both parents in there. Yeah, I don't want all my kids to look just like me. I already got plenty of me.
No, for sure. Well, I guess maybe I explained it wrong, but I see both traits in the selection that I selected, but
okay.
I'm definitely saying that I see the London pound cake.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I've seen it on multiple plants. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep. They all got that blue eyes.
See. What advice would you give an aspiring cannabis breeder looking to start their own breeding company or breeding?
Oh, that's a cool question. Decide if you want to breed for yourself or if it's something that you want to put to market, and then that's two different paths. If you're going to put it out to market, you've got to really tighten up the breeding. You can't play around as much. You can't be as risky. You got to tighten it up because things are going to market and people are relying on you for a solid project. If you're going to breed for yourself, you've got a lot more leeway. But one of the things I should say is don't think you need a big, gigantic grow space to produce plenty of seeds. You can make a lot of seeds in a 5x5 tent. People think they need gigantic plants. I can produce from a beer cup, like a red solo beer cup, with a plant this tall in veg and this tall in flower. I can produce somewhere between 30 and 100 seeds per plant, and I can fit a lot of those plants in a 2x2, a 3x3 tent. You can fit a lot of them in there. Veg them for a couple of weeks, turn them and burn them, get them out of there. Put two, if you're doing cups, do two males because the little dude's not going to make enough pollen, but do two of the same males so you can spread that pollen around. But yeah, you don't need a whole lot of space. So don't feel like space is a limitation. People get afraid. Like, I don't have the room for breeding. You got plenty of room for breeding. You don't have room for testing all the progeny. That's the fun part. But yeah, don't be intimidated. Just grow little tiny plants and pollen chunk them. Make a few seeds because you're going to get plenty of seeds from little tiny plants.
What media do you prefer growing in versus home, and then when you're doing the consulting in facilities?
Yeah, and the personal grows, I use a soilless mix. 7 gallon, maybe 3, 5, 7 gallon pots, depends on the situation. But big pots with soilless mix, lots of aeration. I want to be able to water and not fuck with those for a couple of days. I get real busy. I need the home grow to hold some water. In a commercial situation, I use 3-gallon pots of cocoa with 30% perlite. So it's lots of cocoa, lots of perlite in there. It's real aerated. The plants will get real big. They may need water twice a day. And in a commercial facility, we got auto watering, so I really like that.
Right.
So cocoa in the big grow,
Right.
soilless mix in the personal grow. And I'm not picky on the soilless mix. I should be, but bro, I can grow in Roots Organics. I can grow in 707. I can use Fox Farm if that's what's there. Like I can grow in all that stuff. It's just like something to hold my roots is all that really is.
For sure. Because one thing I learned is, and I think the reason why you can grow in all of them is because you probably don't start feeding right away. You let them use up the nutrients in the soil anyway. And so when you really start adding nutrients, it's actual nutrients, you're not worrying about burning it or anything, the plant burning itself or anything like that, right?
I feel like a lot of those. So when I water to about 10 to 25% runoff, just depends on the situation. I feel like the first couple of waterings, I wash out much of that added nitrogen that they say is in there. I feel like I'm pushing a lot of that out. So I don't even worry about what they're saying is in there. I just start feeding with the bottles right away. Like I don't even pay attention.
Really?
I've never burned a plant doing that either. A lot of people say you're going to roast them, but there's so minimal shit in there that I don't think it's going to burn it. And I'm flushing it out at the same time. It's falling out of the bottom as the water comes out.
So, and you say you run you do about 25% runoff?
10 to 25 depends on the situation. If the plants are small, only about 10% because I don't want to drown them. But sometimes if I mixed up enough water, I'll try to get them to a good 25%. Yeah, like especially between flower or veg and flower, I overwater them then just to get that new nutrient in there, kind of give it a fresh start. I don't ever do a flush. Not in the middle of a grow, not at the end of the grow. I don't flush. I think flushing causes more problems, especially in the middle. Why would I want to starve my plant for a minute? Instead of flushing, I'll mix up a solid feed, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, CalMag, put some kelp in there, some enzymes, a bunch of microbes, and then feed the shit out of it with that. Like, if you were sick, would you want me to just pour a bunch of water down your throat, or do you want some food and vitamins to go with it, So that's the way I do it to the plant. I don't even starve it.
My homie has started, it's making me believe, bro, because my homie has been doing it for the past 3 grows, at least that I've witnessed, and not flushing. And when I say he growing dank and people can't complain, and he ain't flush shit. So it's about, and I think it's about dry and cure. Like, it's about having healthy plants all the way through, your growth, but it's also about your dry and cure, man. No, I think that is where the money is made, bro. Honestly.
Yes, mostly, or ruined. I've seen people fully ruin crops in the dry and cure process too.
Ruined. Yeah, I've done, man. Please believe me, I've done it too many times. And let's see. I got a bunch of questions, man. I can hit you from any angle.
Let's do it.
I got a good question. Are you still documenting your home growth, or are you just save that for when you're, on people's dime?
What do you mean documenting it? Like, am I keeping a lot of notes, or do I show it online?
Are you still, you keep a lot of notes?
Oh, I take a lot of notes. Yeah, I've got a notepad in my phone that I write down a lot of things, almost everything. When I change, if I change the light bulbs, if I adjust the air conditioner, I write down a lot of shit so that I know what's going on in there. We smoke too much, bro. Sometimes I'll go and I'll be like, why the fuck's that air conditioner set at 68? And I'll go look at my notes and I'll write down, because it got hot yesterday, so I had to turn on the AC so to compete with the hot outside, just something like that, So I write down a lot of shit.
Man, because I would just think somebody that's been growing as long as you, man, it's on autopilot. And the reason why I say that, and maybe this is a humbling experience for me right now, because I got my garden now where it's auto. It's everything kicks in and stops when it needs to, and from the environment to the CO2, right? So the only thing I really come in here and do is maintenance. I know everything is going to be on point, right? And I don't document as I should, man, but maybe I will go back to documenting if somebody that's been doing it as long as you is still writing stuff down. Who am I,
Well, I got in the habit. I got in the habit of doing it at commercial grows, and it's just something as I'm walking out, I just pull out my phone and make a little note of what I did, and then just put the phone away. And I think that just continued into my home grows as well. Like I just didn't change it. a lot of my commercial habits came into my home grow, like cleanliness routines and sterilization and documentation. All of my pesticide routine is all learned from commercial growing. That all comes to the home grows, the application and the rules and whatever. It's all Department of Ag trained.
For sure. I think I'm about to get a lot of that in just a little while. So it's gonna be funny to see. What's the craziest trade someone's in the DM and asked you to trade? Personal genetics or whatever, man.
Craziest trade. I'm not sure about the craziest trade. I've sold clones for ridiculous prices. So probably that one Grateful Dog clone that I traded for a big stack of money, that was ridiculous. I kind of regret it. At the time, I needed the loot, but now I wish that clone hadn't gotten out. But yeah, I was at a concert and I was smoking some weed, and the guy next to me was smoking some weed. Every time I lit a joint, he lit another joint. So I lit another joint. He lit another joint. I was like, what the fuck is this dude doing? And he's like, bro, your weed smells better than mine. And I go, yeah, sorry. And so I started smoking my weed with him. And he's like, what is this? And I was like, it's called Grateful Dog. And he goes, I never heard of that. And I go, I bred it. I grew it and I bred it. And he kind of just looks at me like, yeah, right. Like I would dreadlocks at a reggae concert. I'm sure you grew and bred this weed, whatever. And so he just throws it out there. He goes, my name is this, and I own this dispensary in Denver. And I knew that dispensary, and I knew they just won some awards. And he goes, what would it take to get a cut of this plant from you? And I'm listening to reggae, and I'm smoking this joint, and I threw out a number, bro. And I just hit a number. I didn't want to give it out. So I just hit this number, and we kept talking. He didn't respond. We kept talking. At the end of the concert, we're doing the handshake, and he goes, hey, give me your number so I can come get that cut in a couple of weeks. And I was like, oh, wait, what? So he showed up in my house about 2 weeks later with all that fucking cash that I told him about, and I gave him the Grateful Dog cut.
Yeah.
We became good friends, yeah.
Dope, man, dope.
Yeah.
And one thing I want you to tell is about Chim Dog, or tell the story about Chim Dog.
Okay, Chem Dog and the Legend of the 13 Beans. This is not my story to tell. This is just what I remember, and the story that has been told on the internet. I'm passing cannabis folklore here. So if I get names or anything wrong, I do apologize. Once upon a time, there were these two dudes. I think they were in Breckenridge, Colorado. They were getting some good-ass weed. One of the guys said it smelled like chemicals. He called it chem weed. The other guy said that when he smoked it, he wanted to roll over like a dog, so he called it the dog butt. They go on tour. They were growing up. They had, I don't know where the weed came from, but they had a bunch of it. They went on tour with the Grateful Dead. A bunch of us hippies would just pack up our cars and go to every single Grateful Dead concert on the tour and just go sell weed or sell whatever you could do and make the tour. Along the way, they met a dude named, I won't say his real name. He became Chem Dog. They met a dude named Chem. He had a different name. They sold Chem some weed. Chem really liked it. Everybody went home. Later on, Chem gets to the East Coast and messages these guys in Colorado and says, I want more of the weed. They allegedly mailed him a 1/4 pound of the dog bud, the Chem Dog bud. One guy called it dog bud, one guy called it Chem. It became Chem Dog. They mailed that to Chem Dog. The weed didn't really have an official name at this time. This guy, Chem Dog, right, just good. It was before we really named weed. It was just the good weed. So this guy in the East Coast gets the weed, and he gets the 1/4 pound, and in that 1/4 pound, he found 13 seeds. At the time, he wasn't growing, so they got put away, and he sold the weed, and later on, he sprouted some seeds. From those 13 seeds, there were males that got thrown away, and he's mad about it to this day. He's like, if I would have known, I would have kept those males, but he didn't know. So that's where Chem Dog, the original Chem Dog, Chem Dog 91, Chem D, Chem Sister, all of the Chem Dog lineage came from that 13 seed batch of seeds from Joe Brand and Asshole Joe is what I believe their names were, in Breckenridge, Colorado. Met up with a guy that was known as G. I'll give him the name of G. They had good weed. They exchanged good weed. They finished Grateful Dead tour. G contacted the boys in Breckenridge. The boys in Breckenridge sent weed to G. G found the 13 seeds, and now he is Chem Dog, and those seeds are the 13 Chem Dog varietals that came out.
See, there was no way I was going to tell that story correct. So I'm so glad that, my audience, bro, can understand, the folklore origin of the chem dog,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, and then chem is in everything now. If you smoke anything with that funky gas smell, it's either chem or OG, which are very similar. There's something. We always debate what the genetics of everything is. The chem, the OG. There's something similar in those two, and you'll recognize it as soon as you smoke it. Chem 91 is one of my favorite flavors and aromas. Chem D is the one with that like tennis ball sort of smell. Chem 4 has got like sort of that tennis ball sort of thing also. The Chem D's got more of the diesel smell to it. Yeah.
Fire, bro. Fire, man.
Yeah.
So what's a common myth in the industry that you would like to debunk?
Oh man, there's so many. Herms, breeding with herms. People like to say that if your plant herms out, shows intersex traits, and pollinates another plant, that those seeds will be feminized. How? Why? No, they won't. That is a huge myth. Like I said earlier, herm intersex is a trait just like color, vigor, aroma, flavor, potency. When we breed, those traits intermingle into the next progeny. Why wouldn't herm carry on into that? How would they be feminized? So that's a myth I want to destroy.
So you're saying that if a plant herms, not you make it herm, but if it herms and pollinates another female, that does not make those seeds feminine.
Right. They have a very strong opportunity to be intersex. Yeah.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. If you could, because my man has a podcast too. The Growth from Your Heart podcast is the homies podcast. If you could interview anybody, past or present, in the industry, who would that be and why?
I fucked up and missed my opportunity to get Subcool on my show. Subcool and I talked 1,000 times about doing it, but we never said let's just do it. And so I'd love to get Subby on the show. Rest in peace, Sub. He's gone. I can't do it. So Sub would have probably been my number one pick. And then I'd love to get Snoop on there, bro. Who wouldn't want to smoke a fucking fat blunt and have Snoop Dogg on your show? And then Joe Rogan.
Right.
Joe Rogan, Subcool, Snoop, and Joe Rogan are my top three.
Yeah, I want to see that too, man. We're gonna try to make that happen, bro. I would love to watch that. You know, I think that'll be a dope motherfucking show.
Or get me, GN. I'd be down to go to GN. You know.
So I still haven't figured it out yet what I want for overall cannabis, man. What's your thought on legalization of cannabis?
I'm afraid of full legalization. I want legalization because I want everybody, every color, every race, every adult, no matter where you're from, what you do, to be able to walk into somewhere and legally, safely acquire high-grade, legal, potent cannabis, and then have somewhere to safely go consume that. And I think legalization is the only way we get there. My fear is that the regulation will be crazy. Home growers will be eliminated. It'll all be regulated. It won't be dispensaries. It'll just be at Walmart, Target, the gas station, and then it's all going to be shit. So I have a lot of fears of full-on legalization, and I try to figure out ways, how are guys like you and I going to stay relevant when it's fully legal? Because everyone's just going to go to Walmart and get a pound of weed for $6. So
for sure.
I want everyone to have access. Like, we all should have the right to go buy and consume and enjoy this plant, but I don't want the government to ruin it by giving us too much access. So I have mixed emotions about it. I'm really not sure what I hope for or expect.
Same here, man. Same here. And I think that's my biggest fear too. I say it all the time, man. As long as I'm still able to cultivate it, when it's all said and done, I think I'll be happy. But it's uncharted waters, man. It's been suppressed for some, but now I'm glad that the conversation is able to be talked about. And if you guys watch the show, man, drop your opinions on what you think the legalization should look like in America.
Yeah. And if it comes up in your area, if cannabis isn't legal wherever anybody lives right now, wherever the listeners, viewers are, when it comes time to vote and talk about cannabis with your legislation, be part of the rulemaking. Don't hide. Don't be afraid. It doesn't matter what color you are, what race you are, if you're male or female, what religion you are. Your voice matters when it comes to making the rules. Don't let them make the rules around you. When it comes time to make the rules, like Max said, include cultivation laws in your recreational and medical bills. Also includes
Excuse
somewhere
me.
to consume that cannabis. In Colorado, we can grow, we can buy it, nowhere legal to smoke it. So make sure to
Right.
include growing and consuming rights in your bills in the new places that are writing the rules. And don't let the people around you write the rules. We don't want a bunch of uptight dudes. You don't want the city council members writing the rules. They don't smoke, they don't consume, they don't grow, they don't care. You be a part of it. You, the community members, wherever you are, go be a part of those rules. Don't be
Nice.
scared.
Nice. Well said, man. Um, which state do you think has the best legislature figured out for people like us?
Wow, that's I'm not sure. I pay attention to the states around me. I know that Colorado is of course my favorite. That's where I am. We've got really good easy access. We've got home grower rights, but it's a little bit regulated. The dispensaries are over-regulated, commercial cultivation is over-regulated. But then I look at the other side of that token and I see Oklahoma, and the market's just a wild mess out there. You can grow as much as you want, wherever you want. It seems like the rules are very loose. It feels very Colorado in the beginning, but also that industry is spiraling down. Things are collapsing. So I would like the freedom, but I see what it's doing, and I don't like the regulation, but I see how it's helping. So I'm going to stay Colorado just because that's where I am, and it's where I'm able to do my thing.
Yeah, for sure, sure. And
Michigan is cool too. I got to give love to Michigan. Michigan has some cool grow laws, and Michigan's pretty relaxed. Michigan is just like, sure, we don't know what you're doing. Have fun, grow weed, from what I understand.
uh, biggest pet peeve in the industry.
Ooh, man, the people that really love cannabis in the commercial facilities in the commercial industry, the people with passion, you and I, we're not in the commercial game because it's been taken over by the suits. There's no love in the commercial industry now. The commercial cannabis is all about money. Well, with legal, what made weed expensive was that it was illegal. Now it's not illegal. Now it's affordable. So these guys that invested all their money, they want illegal money from a legal product now. And me
Right.
being a passionate grower, you being a passionate grower, we know it takes 9 or 10 weeks to flower a plant. So you tell that investor it takes 9 or 10 weeks to flower. And they say, cool, then in 9 weeks I should have money. And you say, no, no, no. And then they want more money. So when it comes, they force you to cut it down a week early. The product isn't what they expected because you cut down early. It's not as valuable.
Mm-hmm.
There's not as much of it. Now they're mad at you because they forced you into shit positions. And it never, and so my point is the heart, the passion, the care is gone. It's all about turn it and burn it, put plants on the ground, get buds out the door, money in the cash register, buy me a new Porsche. And that's my pet peeve in the industry.
How can we, people like you and I, advocate for change of that? Like, what is that? You know what I mean? Like, is there? I guess if they own it, they set the rules. But
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like,
The biggest move you can do is boycott and support your local grower. You know, support the guys like you putting out the good product, or your homie that doesn't flush. Get that shit where you can so that you don't have to pay the taxes and you don't support those big corporations. Boycott. And it's so hard to boycott. It's like saying boycott Walmart. You know, you need anything. Walmart's right there and it's the cheapest. So you go get it. So it's really challenging.
Yeah.
But try to boycott those big shops. If you don't like it, don't shop there. Scotty Real taught us vote with your dollars. So vote with your bucks, and then do what you can to fight that. Grow it yourself. Everybody, if you've got space, you should grow some weed. Everybody should grow some weed.
All right. So if you could return on my show, what's one question that I didn't ask you that you would have liked for me to ask you, and what would you have said?
Oh man, you haven't asked about my sneakers, bro. You and I are both sneaker heads. We love good fashion. We love style, my dude. I'm wearing some fresh ass kicks over here, and you didn't even ask about them.
Bro, I can't believe it. I'm high, man. I'm high. We smoke on the show, right? You know what I'm
We
saying?
did plenty of dabs right before we got here.
Yo, so this definitely this is definitely going to be a fire clip. So, Rasta Jeff, check the feet heat. What you got?
Woo! So just for you, bro, I knew we were going to be doing some camera work here. So today we put on these Nike Dunk SB lows. They're called Fury Blue, but I put these pink laces in here just to make them go chapow. Yeah, bro, we got some feet, icy clear soles. Of course, I keep them clean. Yeah, bro, I'm a dunk fanatic. I got a bunch of dunks, but that's the pair for the day. Got the shiny silver on the back. Fresh to death, bro.
If you guys can check Rasta Jeff's show out on Monday. On Monday, he goes live, and the question always gets asked, what's on your feet? And also, he has a beautiful display of all of his shoes that he has. So you guys are sneakerheads, this is definitely a sneakerhead. You never know, because you might be able to work something out. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, thank you, bro. Thank you. Size 13. I need them size 13 SB Dunk Lows. Hit me up. I'll take them.
Any special shout outs?
Oh, man, I want to give a shout out to you. Man, thanks for having me on the show. You've been a longtime supporter. We've been talking about doing this for a long time, a really long time, bro. And you popped into the Discord the other day, and I looked at the calendar, and I said, I got the day. So shout out to you for being patient and persistent. Those are the things I need. So thank you, bro. I appreciate it. Big love.
Man.
And shout out to Mrs. Macblunts for letting you come play for a little while.
And where can people find you and your work, man?
Oh, man, I'm all over the internet. I have a website, iriegenetics.com. On iriegenetics.com, there's a link to my Discord server, my YouTube channel. You can buy seeds off of my link. If you go to Irie Direct, it's a link off of Irie Genetics. You could buy seeds there. I've got my own podcast called the Grow From Your Heart podcast. And I'm all over Instagram. I'm Irie_genetics on Instagram. Follow the big account. There's a couple of fakers out there. I'm the one with like 35 point something thousand followers. Not to brag, but make sure you follow the right account. Don't get the fakes. And don't buy seeds off Instagram, because that's not me.
Well, you heard it here on the Business is Blooming podcast. And Irie Genetics, Rasta Jeff has finally linked, man. Thanks again, bro. This was a great show, bro. It was a dream come true, man. So,
that was a good time, man. I enjoyed it. Thank you for having me, brother. Thanks again.
For sure. Yo, bro. What you think? You think that shit was dope?
That's good, man. Oh, you know what? We didn't do something. Here, I'm going to interrupt you. Watch. We were talking and they go, all right, Mac, it was a great time, bro. Thank you for having me. You told me you wanted me to do this at the beginning. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, until next time, take a fat dab and give your mom a hug for me. You can edit that however you want, bro. I'm sure you can edit that.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, that's definitely getting clipped.
Cool. Yeah, this is a fun time, man. You relaxed a lot. When we did the second one, so I'm glad we started over. The second one was way better.
Bro, I was high and I was cramping. I couldn't take it. I was trying to fake it, but bro, I was like, man, shit. I gotta stand up, bro. And then I didn't want my crotch in the video the whole time. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah,
Lucas would have gone crazy.
When the pain subsided, I think it was dope, man. For real. Dream come true, bro. Everybody keeps telling me, man, you're farther than you are. You think. I'm like, man, it don't feel like it. I'm just working, networking.